So just in our last video, we wanted to tackle what Nikon's retro camera was. What was it going to be? We didn't necessarily go into leak specs or anything crazy like we sometimes do, but we just wanted to see what the DF2 was going to be like. Now, overnight, all depending on when you're watching this, of course, if you're watching this today, when this was announced, we now have what Nikon's going to do with the retro camera, and it's called the retro, well, not really, it's called the Nikon Zfc. And no one really knows what FC stands for because they didn't make it apparent. But Z, because it's Z mount. That answers one question. And I think one of the biggest things we'll cover here, and we're not going to dive into tech specs or anything too crazy. We'll just have a discussion about it. There's already a ton of hands-on previews and videos out there. We could just have a talk, a little discourse on that in the comments. But I think the big topic here and the big elephant in the room, besides myself, is that it's not full frame. And I think that is a decent sized miss for Nikon. You know, they could have hit a grand slam, a nice little home run to get that full frame out there, an actual DF2 type of replacement. But they decided to go a route where they could probably try and sell more. But I don't know if it's going to happen with like that. They decided to go crop sensor. And this ZFC is essentially a remodeled type retro style Z50. Z50 is popular, you know, albeit. But the problem is, if a lot of people already have the Z50, why would you want another Z50 in another form? Now, that goes to being said, well, which are you going to buy? We'll cover a lot of that stuff in just a little bit in a discussion, but the ZFC, like I said, it's a Z50, 20 megapixels, but nothing absolutely crazy. But they do have video, 4K video, and they do have a, you know, electronic viewfinder, some of the stuff that we talked about. But the one big difference between the Z50 and the FC is that the Z50 just has a regular screen, where the FC, oh, these freaking names, has a fully articulating screen, so that way you can do selfies, you can see yourself for video, etc. So you're getting a couple more options, but the cool thing I will say is that they did a very good job with the body, and that's the point. Retro look, retro body, and it kind of looks like this. It's an homage back to the Nikon FM and FM2, basically the FM2. I have the FM here. If you kind of look at it, you know, it's got the pentaprism up top right here with the writing, external dials at the top, stuff like that. So that's what the FC is going to look like, and it kind of looks like you have all the external dials, basically what Fuji does, and they even did it to an extent where there's even a little screen up at the top right on top of the camera where it even shows your aperture in a little tiny box. So there's a lot of cool little attention to detail as well with your fully articulating screen. I think there's like two things I think they missed out on. One is the grip, because even if you see from this camera right here, it's thin, and it's basically going to do the exact same thing. And in regards to a grip, there's been no comment if a grip is going to be in the US, whereas it might be overseas. So we don't know if that's going to change, and you probably have to import it if you want that in the US. But the other thing I wish they had on there was a thumbstick. So no thumbstick. You know, that's obviously not a huge thing, but if you're going to go and kind of break a little bit with the video and be a DF2, you could have included something like that. The lenses, Nikon still has to grow their lens line out, especially crop sense lenses and stuff like that. And they're kind of in a position, and they're doing a little bit better, but they're kind of in a position where Sony was when Sony first got in, and they really didn't have a lot of lens selection. So Nikon is still doing that, and they're catching up. So you're going with this camera, with the ZFC, you're going to have a $950 camera, body only. You're going to get a 16-50 option, 3.5 to 5.6 or 6.3, whichever one, for $1,100. And then there's their special edition Type 1 for 28 millimeters f2 for $1,200. So they're silver, they look good with the camera, and even a regular Z black lens looks great on a camera like this, you know, on FC, and they're going to have different color leathers and stuff like that if you really care about that for like $100 more. But that also comes down to, cool, it's retro, but it's a Z50. Which one do you buy? What's the biggest thing? And I think that's going to be the weird thing they have to get over. They should have done something more unique. Or they should have done full frame to kind of really separate that. And I don't know. I think if you're a little more serious and you want to grow a little bit, you go the Z50. But if you want something fun, a more unique type of camera, you go with something like the ZFC. So I think Nikon didn't hit a home run with the FC, But I definitely think they got on base, maybe hit by a pitch or, you know, a little CNI single to left field or something like that. If you're into sports, you'll get a lot of those references. But I was expecting just a bit more. But I'm excited nonetheless to really see what it is and seeing some of the hands-on stuff out there. It's still a little exciting, but recopying a Z50 and not going full frame. But let me know your thoughts down below. Everyone in the world right now, pretty much, at least in the US, is burning because it's so hot outside. So let's have the comments be hot as well, as I'm sweltering in my apartment right now too, and talk about this a little bit. You know, we had a great discussion on the last video, a lot of interaction, and a lot of people really wanted the full frame beast and a DF2, and it just seems that we got a very slim version of the Z50. Are you fine with that? Is it what you expected, or is it beyond what you expected? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I appreciate that Nikon is trying. That's what I'll say. And hey, if I can get my hands on it, have some fun with it.